Mic checker. Chicka. It's not son, baby. Yeah. A one time, baby. What? For your mind, baby. Yeah. We gonna shine, baby. And what we do, we gonna grind, baby. Yeah. What? And this is another episode. So. Swingers After Dark. And this is your host. Not son, baby. Here we go. You know, if you've been listening to my podcast since the beginning, from A to Z, you would know that I was born and raised in the great city of Chicago. The Windy City, the city of winds, the city of broad shoulders. And no, it's not the second city, it's the first. And it's not Chi-Town, it's Chi City, because Chicago is not a town, it's a city. So we don't say Chi-Town anymore. Nah, we not rocking with that. We killing that. No pun intended. But it's Chi City. And we killing the Chirac shit too. Like, we not calling Chicago Chirac. Like, it's whatever. It's Chi City. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, well, no, son, Chicago it has a lot of killings. It has a lot of murders. And it's not a safe place to go. Listen, Chicago is not for the faint of heart. So if you're not brave enough to venture into the great city of Chicago, then we don't need your punk ass to step foot on a great soil. No, stay your ass home. If you're scared, go to church, because we don't need that scared energy in our city. You dig? And I said all that to say, you know, I was never a fan of Michael Jordan. No sirree. I was never a fan. But yeah, he's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. Yada, yada, yada. I get it. Trust me, I get it. But I was never a fan. You feel me? First of all, I'm not a fan of anybody. I'm not a fucking fanatic. And I do not expect you to be a fan of mine. Be a supporter. Be a listener. Shit. Have some admiration if you have admiration towards me. Like, admiring somebody is not a bad thing, but to be a fan of somebody is like you putting that person on a pedestal. And I did not put Michael Jordan on a pedestal. He did not win by himself. When he tried to do it by himself, he lost in the 80s to the Celtics, to the Milwaukee Bucks, to the Pistons. When he tried to do it all by himself, he lost. Yeah, you can score 30, 40, 50 points a game, but you're still losing. He didn't start winning until he put trust in his teammates, until he utilized his teammates. Then that's when he became great. That's why I'm like, okay, y'all giving Michael Jordan all this credit, but it's a team game. And I get it. You know, Michael Jordan said there's no I in team, but there's an I in win. Yes, that was cute. I get it. And shout out to the Last Dance documentary. That's like the greatest basketball documentary of all time. Second to Hoop Dreams. Let me correct myself. Hoop Dreams is the greatest basketball documentary of all time. But as a whole, I would say The Last Dance as a whole is the best sports documentary of all time, even though they left out a lot of shit. You feel me? But not for nothing, man. Listen, when I was growing up in Chicago, my favorite Bull was not Michael Jordan. My favorite Bull was Scottie Pippen. Yes, Scottie. My favorite Bull was Scottie Pippen, and I kind of I hated. Yes, hate is a strong word. I hated when they showed Scottie Pippen like he was a flunky in The Last Dance. Like, they showed Scottie and they show his flaws a lot, more so his strengths. Like, I get it. Michael Jordan is the greatest. He's the GOAT, whatever. And they showed him as this basketball god. I get it. But with Scottie, they low key like showed Scottie like he was a punk. You feel me? It's like they didn't show Scottie Pippen leading the Chicago Bulls to a 50-win season in the first year Michael Jordan retired. I believe the Bulls won. How many games they won? And the 93-94 season, the year Michael Jordan retired, they won what, 55, 57 games? Something like that. They almost won 60 games without Michael Jordan. And that goes to show that Michael Jordan did not do it by himself. Scottie Pippen led that team to win 55, 57 games, whatever games they won during that year. I know they were close to winning 60 games in a 93-94 season. And if it wasn't for Hugh Holland's bitch ass calling that phantom foul on Scottie against Hubert Davis, the Bulls versus Knicks series in the playoffs, I'm a firm believer that they would have won in 93 and 94. They would have won the 94 finals. And I most definitely think that the Bulls would have beaten the Pacers to get to the Rockets, the Houston Rockets, and eventually beat the Rockets. Shout out to Hakeem, but the Rockets, they didn't have championship experience. The Bulls would have beaten the Knicks, the New York Knickerbockers, they would have beaten the Indiana Pacers, and they would have beaten the Houston Rockets. And Pippen would have won the ring without Michael Jordan. But since Scottie did not win a ring without Michael Jordan, everybody's on Jordan's dick. Everybody's on Michael's dick. But Mike needed help. Money Mike, Magic Mike, Michael Jordan, he needed help. Yes. Why would I want to be like Mike? I want to be like me. I never grew up talking about I want to be like Michael Jordan. Really? Why would I want to be like somebody else? That's what's wrong with people. They want to be like somebody else, and then when their heroes do not measure up to the fantasy that's concocted in their minds, then they want to be depressed. Then they want to be stalkers. Then they want to send hate mail because the illusion did not turn out to be a fantasy. You might have met your hero and he or she turned out to be an asshole, and now you're depressed. Why? Because you put that person on a pedestal. But I think they did Scottie wrong. They mentioned him not, wanting to pass the ball to Tony Kukoc. So he sat out the game. Scottie sat out the game because the last shot by Phil Jackson, the last shot wasn't drawn by Phil Jackson to have Scottie take the last winning shot, the game winning shot, the last shot to end the game. Tony Kukoc did. They showed that. But they did not show Scottie in his glory. They did not show Scottie leading the Bulls to a win over 50 games in that 93-94 campaign. And you know what's petty? A lot of people don't realize that Scottie Pippen had dunked from the free throw line in the dunk contest. A lot of people don't know that. People think that, Michael Jordan and Dr. J and, Vince Carter and Brent Barry and, Sean Kemp and all them motherfuckers jump from the free throw line. But they never show Scottie. I think they suppressing certain things, certain information and certain clips to make Michael Jordan bigger than what he really is. They didn't even show Scottie Pippen dunking from the free throw line. When Scottie Pippen played that season without Michael Jordan in the 93-94 season, he played out of his mind. He played like a man possessed. But the next year, he lost Horace Grant. And, they barely made the playoffs until Michael came back. But then a lot of people might say, well, Scottie didn't do it by himself either. Scottie couldn't do it by himself either. They barely made it to the playoffs. Listen, when Michael was by himself, what did he do? He kept losing to the Celtics, to the Boston Celtics. He kept losing to the Milwaukee Bucks. He needed help. Shit, Michael Jordan had Orlando Woodrich. Orlando Woodrich was the high scorer of the Chicago Bulls team before he got traded. You feel me? So everybody needs everybody. And like I said, Scottie Pippen was my favorite basketball player on the Bulls teams during the first three-peat and the second three-peat. And I'm really pissed. I'm pissed off that, the Blazers, the 2000 Blazers did not beat the Lakers. Because if Scottie would have won a championship with either the Bulls, with the 94 Bulls, or the 2000 Blazers, then this Michael Jordan GOAT talk wouldn't exist. Like this Michael Jordan greatest of all time shit, it wouldn't exist. Because people would be like, well, Scottie did it without you, but you couldn't do it without Scottie. So not for nothing, I think that was like a conspiracy, like a concerted conspiracy from the NBA to not allow Scottie Pippen to win the ring without Michael Jordan. First, it was that phantom foul on Hubert Davis against the Knicks. Then, it's like, how the Lakers come back from a 15-point deficit in the fourth quarter against a Blazers team, a Portland Trail Blazers team that was stacked. How? I know what you're saying. Well, no, son, you just talking shit. It's gonna, the game is not rigged. It's not a conspiracy. They lost fair and square. Shit. The NBA just didn't want Scottie to win without Mike. And if you don't like it, I don't give a fuck. All I'm saying is that Michael Jordan couldn't do the shit alone. He needed Scottie. You feel me? Scottie was that dude. Listen, we saw Scottie rise like a phoenix. Scottie wasn't a first round draft pick. Well, I'm sorry, he was the first round draft pick. He wasn't a top pick. That's what I meant. He was a first rounder, but he wasn't a top pick. He developed, and you saw him develop into the player that you know of, that you know him to be now. You feel me? That's why Scottie is my favorite Chicago Bull. You understand me? So I just wanted to say, it's like The Last Dance. It should be like another Michael Jordan documentary. Like The Last Dance is really a showcase on Michael Jordan. Real talk, because they shitted on everybody on the low. It's like his documentary, But not for nothing, it's like I appreciate Michael Jordan for his accomplishments. Yes, he's the greatest. He's the GOAT. I'm not taking that from him. Hell, he even got the greatest sneaker line, the greatest designed sneaker line ever. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. He's the greatest. But Michael Jordan didn't do everything by himself. He didn't become Michael Jordan by himself. He didn't become Michael Jordan by himself. He did not become Michael Jordan by himself. And that's why those Chicago Bulls teams, as great as they were, those teams are the greatest examples that you're only as good as the pieces around you. Every piece matters. You feel me? Every piece matters. You dig? And when you build a team, you're only as strong as your weakest link. And that's why those Chicago Bulls, as great as Michael Jordan was, I can't give him all the glory. Because when he was scoring 30, 40, 50 points a game, he was losing. But when he utilized his players, when he trusted his players, when he became more of an all-around player, that's when they started winning. But at the end of the day, I still hate his ass. As a Chicagoan, I hate his ass. And on that note, this has been another episode of Swingers After Dark, and this is your host, Not Son, baby. Check out my website at www.notsonblaze.com. That's www.nahsunblaze.com, and check out my ebook, You, Me, Us, Them, The Swinger Manifesto. It's on Nook, Kindle, iBooks, Google Play. Go get it. Shoot me an email at swingpodcast@gmail.com. That's swingpodcast@gmail.com. Hit me up with any questions or concerns that you may have. Rate, share, subscribe, and comment on this podcast. Dig. And on that note, until next time, peace.